Hey everyone, we are really excited to announce that our Kickstarter for DaemonClaw is now live. And by we, of course, I mean with me as always is Corey. Say hi, Corey.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And so, yeah, as you might notice, we're in preview mode and this project is not live, but that's because we're recording this a day early. But we'll be launching this video tomorrow, which is your today, when the Kickstarter is actually live. But also keep in mind, there's always the chance with a Kickstarter, especially when other teams of people are involved, that some of the things on the Kickstarter by tomorrow, your today, when this launches, that some things might be a little different. So we're going to review and show you the gist of the Kickstarter to help you assess if you're going to be interested in backing any of these cool offerings we have in here. But definitely double check any of the information because some things might be a little different tomorrow, your today. All right, so let's just get into the actual details of the Kickstarter. As those of you who have been following us for a while already know, DaemonClaw is a 16-bit retro-style action arcade game. Don't be fooled by its aesthetic. It is not a Metroidvania-style game. It's much more just about the fast, fun action and not about backtracking in maps and stuff like that. And if you like fast, fun arcade action, then DaemonClaw very much might be for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so one of the really cool things we're doing with this Kickstarter is we're actually teaming up with the awesome folks at NeoFid, who have already done 2 previous Kickstarters. In fact, if you notice, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah. We're launching this through their Kickstarter account because they've already had the 2 previous successful Kickstarters for MegaDrive games. And that's one of the cool things that's going on here is, while we're going to finish making the version of DaemonClaw we started for modern platforms, NeoFid will be making the actual port of DaemonClaw to the MegaDrive. And they've already made really impressive progress for only having had a couple of weeks to really get going on it. And it's going really well. And then the other cool thing is another company, Pixel Heart, they're going to make the Neo Geo version of DaemonClaw with us. Each version of DaemonClaw, they're going to be visually tweaked and augmented to put best use to that particular hardware, but also each version will have a second selectable character that you can play as, and that character is going to be completely unique and not only change the aesthetic, but also the gameplay quite drastically. And the other cool thing is any version you back on this Kickstarter, you're going to get the digital version via Steam, which is going to let you play all 3 versions. So I think I show that, yeah, right here. Back any version, play yes. All 3. So you can see here there's going to be a splash screen where you're going to be able to pick which platform version you want to play that day. I know we're jumping around, but NeoFid, in their original Kickstarter project for their game Demons of Asterborg, their star character was named Gareth. And you could see here the second selectable character for the MegaDrive version will be that same character. And you could see how I quickly adapted him to be an authentic styled DaemonClaw sprite. And obviously that's going to change the gameplay quite drastically. You've got a guy that bashes things with his metal-covered fist compared to someone that fights with the sword. And, you know, the magical abilities will be different and all that stuff.
And you may be wondering about the other 2 versions and what those extra playable characters may be. Just stay tuned for any announcements about that.
Yep. See, so then we quickly cover the story of DaemonClaw. Pause it if you want to read that. We don't want to make this video too long. And then so we talk about gameplay. There's an extended gameplay clips video here that you can watch. And then some nice animated GIFs to show you some of the important nuances of the gameplay. And that's like a core thing. We're all about really visceral arcade action. And so we wanted DaemonClaw to overall have a simple, easy-to-learn gameplay mechanic, but to hide some nuance in there so that an experienced player can really play with a lot of style and mix things up. There's a lot of different ways to handle different situations, all of them, you know, gratifying for different reasons. And then here we go into the characters. So the star character, who we were jokingly calling Matt DaemonClaw for the longest time internally, now has an official name. And here's the wizard that chose you to be the hero and to get the magic gauntlet DaemonClaw. And then these are some of the different types of creatures that are attacking humanity that you need to basically fend back, basically defeat them to get them to stand down while continuing to unfold the mystery and hopefully figure out who's manipulating things to cause this conflict in the first place. Right. And then here are the portraits of the first two bosses, of which there will be several more that we have designed internally, but we're not revealing yet, nor have we done the finished pixel art for them yet.
Well, speaking of revealing bosses, there's one there.
Yeah.
So, the first one, which I don't know, this might be the first time seen publicly.
That's a great point.
Channel. I think our patrons have seen this guy. But
yeah, that's a great point. This finally is the level 1 boss. And once again, there's some simple concepts to learn, but this is really classic console and arcade gameplay where it's all about learning the different behavior patterns and abilities the enemy has and when to attack, when to counterattack, when to dodge. But even here, like I said, there's a lot of ways that a player can adapt to playing. Yep, and then we get into the art. There's a time-lapse of me drawing an illustration, the original illustration of the wizard for character design. Very stylish wizard. And then here is a time-lapse pixel art of Corey designing the real character art for the boss. Which obviously looks awesome. So there he is there in the actual game. And so we're going to be offering a lot of cool add-ons for this campaign for those hardcore collectors that really want the whole game collecting experience, like bigger non-folded posters and an Art of DaemonClaw book that will cover both the pixel art and game design side of things, but also the illustration and character design and stuff like that. If you really love the kind of inside scoop and why Corey and myself made the different decisions we made while designing every aspect of DaemonClaw, this book will be for you. And then there's going to be some number of cards between 3 and 6, depending on what stretch goals are met, in the box of every physical version you can get. And then as an add-on, you can get a total of 6 cards. But as I mentioned, there are those second selectable characters. So It's a special foil edition, really nice deluxe card that will be signed and limited edition for the Kickstarter campaign. So we'll produce more cards than for the campaign, but only the ones that people buy in the campaign will ever have the number and be signed specifically for the Kickstarter. So those will be like really limited edition, but we're also going to give you 3 other cards that are identical but not signed and numbered. So you could potentially trade or play with those cards that you don't have to protect as much. They don't have as much collector value. And then you could keep the signed ones nice and safe. And then the posters, you're going to get a pair of posters. And there's going to be what we call the publicity poster, which has the framing and screenshots and some information about what platforms DaemonClaw will be on. And then you have the full bleed version of the poster that's just the artwork as large and unobstructed as possible. Although we did leave in the logo because the art was designed for the logo to be there. So it wouldn't really make sense to leave the logo out of that. And then so the music of DaemonClaw was already done by the brilliant game musician Alistair Brimble. He's already made a great soundtrack for us, but we do have stretch goals to hopefully expand the soundtrack even more, and he is ready to do that, assuming we meet that stretch goal. So this goes into more detail about the 3 versions. This is actual footage of the demo so far that the different developers have been working on, getting DaemonClaw running on the actual MegaDrive hardware, actual Neo Geo, and then this obviously is just modern PCs. So this goes into more detail about the particular add-ons. As I said, there's the poster pair. These as well will be signed and limited edition numbered. And then there's the art book. There's some of the art, some of a small selection of the huge amount of art that will be in the book. And like I said, there will be some really cool information in text about what these designs represent and why we made the decisions we did. And then this goes into more detail about the cards. And then here are the first 2 stretch goals that are announced. Fingers crossed, we have many more already mostly pre-planned with the other teams that will reveal as things unlock. And then down at the bottom are the actual team members of the different teams that are working on things. These are the gentlemen of NeoFid that have produced 2 previous very high-quality MegaDrive games, as I mentioned, Demons of Asterborg and also recently Aster Bros. And then there's these 2 Jamokes. I'm not sure how they even got on this page, but...
a couple of losers there.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's Pixel Art, the team that are making the Neo Geo version and have previously published a lot of different indie-developed and retro games for lots of different classic consoles. So really excited about working with them even beyond this Kickstarter to potentially get DaemonClaw and other games of ours onto other interesting platforms. But anyway, now let's scroll up to the top and look at the actual reward tiers. There's the digital version alone. If you're not a collector and just want to be able to play all 3 versions of DaemonClaw, this is great bang for your buck. At 14 euros, you're going to be able to play all 3 versions. You're even going to be able to opt in if you want to get kind of early access to be able to play the games while they're still being developed in order to give us feedback to help us really perfect each version of DaemonClaw before we produce the actual physical cartridges and send them to people. And then this is a kind of a cool thing. We decided, why should only the collectors of classic 16-bit game consoles be able to get all the cool physical stuff and swag? So we figured out a way to offer a boxed version. No matter which other version you get, you might want to consider this reward tier because it gets you a nice box that'll have all the same kind of swag, like the fold-out poster and cards and obviously the game manual and stuff like that. But this also comes with a DVD. The game is not on the DVD. This boxed version will give you a Steam key for the digital version, which lets you play all 3 versions of the game. But as far as the physical media in the box, one thing about BitBeamCannon that you long-term followers know, we don't just love video games, we love video game design as an art form, and we love having really nerdy discussions on our YouTube channel about all kind of aspects of gameplay design, game graphic design, storytelling, all those kinds of things. And so one thing we've been doing from the beginning of DaemonClaw, especially for our Patreon backers, is Corey and I have been recording all of the important design meetings that we've had and making them videos that only our backers can watch. But for the first time ever, people other than our backers are going to have access to be able to just watch those videos and kind of sit in on the live creative process or recorded live creative process as Corey and I made every big decision about the gameplay, the plot design, the graphic design of DaemonClaw. So that's going to be the video content on this video DVD that comes in this. Otherwise, you could call it the PC boxed version or whatever. As you can see, I don't know, it's not very big there, but it's called Forging DaemonClaw. So that's the DVD you'll get. And then here is the MegaDrive version. And of course, this stuff doesn't exist yet. So this is just our artist's rendition of how things are going to look. They'll certainly look quite similar to this, but, the finished products might look a little different. And then, here's the MegaDrive version of DaemonClaw with the actual cartridge. Obviously, there'll be a manual, and assuming those stretch goals are met, then you're going to have a folded poster and trading cards and stuff like that as well. And then this definitely is going to change. I just had a conversation with the people this morning at Pixel Heart, and I didn't know if any kind of colors would be available. When I Googled it, there were several different colors of kind of indie-made modern Neo Geo games for MVS specifically. and I just picked a color. But we're going to make that black, so most likely the cartridge will be black. You know, keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, and I'm sure Neo Geo fans are aware of MVS, but for those who don't know, this is basically the arcade cabinet version of the cartridge, right?
Yep, exactly.
Basically. So,
all right,
which is why it looks a little different.
Hold on.
Which is why the cartridge looks a little different, but it does still come with all the same, boxed manual and all the other physical goods as the other version. So yeah.
But yeah, also a slightly lower price point, which is interesting. But obviously, you would have to own the actual whatever kind of arcade cabinet version of Neo Geo to play this on. It won't fit. It won't work in the home console version, which is down here, which is known as the AES version. It's also kind of funny, the label, the way it's on the front, like a VHS cassette, like a videotape.
Because they put like multiple ones.
Yeah, exactly. That's so you could you slot them in and they would have multiple cartridges, so you couldn't see the cartridge from the front. So there's just that little label there on this edge of it, so you could see which games are in which slot. But anyway, yeah, Neo Geo is a fascinating and a really awesome, real arcade at home experience console from back in the day. It was something I always wanted as a kid, but could never dream of affording back then.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so those are the major reward tiers, and then it's just the add-ons, which we already went through. So like I said, things might change a little bit between recording now and when the campaign actually goes live, which is now, if you're seeing this video on YouTube. So it should be live. So yeah, just keep an eye out. Things might be slightly different in some way, but certainly this is the gist of it. And we hope some of this interests you, and we hope you give it a look.
Check it out, guys.
Thanks for watching.
If you enjoy our content and want to keep up to date on our games, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, if you want to support our projects, consider becoming a patron. The link's in the description, and we'll see you soon.